Hello and welcome. This is Kimberly Purpose and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the Iroquois Indians. And this is my second time recording, you guys. Hopefully this time this video will go through. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's the internet or the software or what, but hopefully this will go through. Alright? But anyway, I wanted to first go to my business. This is my company, Purpose Counseling and Wellness Center. I'm going to put a link below to our website. We provide a variety of services and everything. And we also have telehealth for those of you all who need telehealth services. For me, I do have some openings available for new clients, and you can just call me today or email us to schedule an appointment if you like. But it says here, feel like you're falling apart? Let us help you find the missing pieces in your life. Purpose Counseling and Wellness Center, PCWC, provides a variety of therapeutic counseling services geared towards helping individuals, families, and communities. Our goal is to assist individuals holistically through our transpersonal counseling and psychological services. And so, yeah, just check us out. All the services that we provided is on this website, and a link will be below. Give us a call or email us today. Okay? So let's go on to the Iroquois Indians. I wanted to talk about the Iroquois because I tried to talk about the different Indian tribes, you know, and y'all may want to check out the other ones I've done. I'm mostly focused on, I typically do the East Coast Indians because I know I'm from the East Coast. And my lineage is with the Southeast Woodland Indians. But the Iroquois are on the East Coast, but they're further north. And so we're going to talk about this particular tribe. This tribe is unique because the Constitution, for those of y'all who don't know, the U.S. Constitution is based on this particular tribe's government, pretty much. How they had a government when they, when they were in full force in the past, but it's not the same like it was, prior to colonialism. But let's get started. The Iroquois tribe. This particular article was pulled from the U.S. history, and it talks about the pre-colonial, colonial, and the new millennium, pretty much. And it doesn't have an author because I searched and I didn't see an author on this particular page. So I assumed that this particular article was written by the staff of this particular publication. So, and it doesn't even have a date. So I'm not quite sure when this particular article was published. Doesn't even have a date, so. But we'll continue. It says I put a link for you all to check it out. I'm going to just pretty much read over the introduction part of this particular article. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's sort of lengthy too. And plus it's another article that I wanted to go over with you all, to touch on so we can further explain, discuss the Iroquois, their cultural identity as being Aboriginals, American Aboriginals, and also their ethnic and cultural background, and also we're going to talk about their government as well, and how it's related to the how the United States is based on this indigenous tribe. And also, yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It says here, the Iroquois people has inhabited the areas of Ontario in upstate New York for well over 4,000 years. Ontario is in Canada, pretty much. And it says, technically speaking, Iroquois refers to the language rather than a particular tribe. In fact, the Iroquois consist of 5 tribes prior to European colonization. Their society served as an outstanding example of political and military organization, complex lifestyles, and an elevated role for women, which I find quite interesting right here. And you see that with quite a few of the indigenous tribes here in the Americas, that women had a significant role in the history. You see that with the California Indians, with Queen California, with her being a chief over a tribe. So you do see it, and there are some leadership, and that's why it's quite evident you have this particular setup where women are involved in the decision making, and also with powerful leadership roles. It's quite evident that it's definitely not European, because Europeans, their whole history is based on the paternal side, so based on male, and women did not have no type of leadership role, pretty much, in their society. So obviously it's not, this tribe is not Caucasian at all, never have been, and never will be. So a lot of the pictures they put in these books are filled with gray-washed pictures of pale Indians, which are not true. Like this particular Indian has been gray-washed. They lighten the skins of all the pictures to try to paint this false narrative that the indigenous Aboriginals were Caucasian, or mixed with mostly, or try to paint this image that they were mixed or Mongoloid, which, we all know that the Mongoloids were here, but the Aboriginals were here too. And more research and more artifacts are turning up, all the time, showing Indians with Negro features. But let's continue. We're going to talk about the government and the war. It says here, until the 1500s, the 5 tribes of the Iroquois devoted much energy towards fighting and killing each other. According to oral tradition, it was about this time that they came to the senses and united in power and confederation, which is good. They did try to come together and fight, and everything, and that you also see that throughout the history books, which we, still have to look beyond what they say in words. But anyway, it says here the 5 tribes designed quite an elaborate political system. This includes a bicameral 2-house legislative, much like the British Parliament and modern U.S. Congress. The representatives of Sakim and the Seneca and the Mohawk tribe met one house, and those of the Oneida and Cayuga met in the other. The Onondaga Shakims broke ties and had the power to veto decisions made by the others. There was a unwritten constitution that described these proceedings at least as early as 1590. Such complex political arrangements were unknown to Europeans at this time. And see, this is what I'm talking about right here. It was unknown by the Caucasians, but it was in existence prior to them being here. And here's the picture right here is a picture of the Mohawk Indian chiefs, and Joseph Bryan served as spokesman of his people, a Christian missionary of the Anglican Church, and a British military officer during the Revolutionary War. And see, that's what they do. They try to place themselves in roles over these tribes so they can be, over everything and be in control, pretty much. But these brainwashing of the pictures, oh my gosh. Yeah, Joseph Bryan. In English speaking, it sounds like he might have been Caucasian. you know. But that's what happened a lot throughout history, and then also with this transitioning and changing the ethnic identity of the American Aboriginals, aka African Americans. A lot of these tribes are made up of Caucasian because they put themselves in there, you know, when they are not really the true original people. They put themselves in there and put themselves in leadership roles and probably married some of the women in the tribe and made these mixed babies. But so that's how it happened, pretty much. And then also with the $5 Indians, they just flooded themselves into these tribes and just pushed the real indigenous people out, the 100% Indians out of the tribes, which are the Aboriginals. And that's why we have all these stories that are passed down by our grandparents telling us that we're Indians, or they say we got Indian in us, when in actuality, you know, a lot of them have broken English and everything, didn't go to school. So that is their way of telling us that we are the Indians. We were already here. That explains why a lot of the grandparents didn't understand why we were calling ourselves African when they knew that not, you know, family members were already here. Our lineage is here in the Americas, not in Africa. You know, we are always been here. This country always had, you know, Negro Indians, what they call the Negro Indians. But let's see, I wanted to share with this beautiful piece. They have an excerpt from the Iroquois Constitution, which is so beautiful. I read it and it was so beautiful and peaceful. And I can imagine how it was, you know, prior to the Caucasians coming over here. You know, the barbarics. The barbarians is one YouTuber that calls the pale face the barbarians. So in a way, warlike people that likes drama and chaos and never want peace. And according to this, you read this, it's like very peaceful and beautiful flowing, and it just makes me feel like, you know, they paint this negative image of the indigenous people. You know, like Dan Calloway always says, everything was told to us in reverse. But if you look at this excerpt, let's read it together. It says, roots have spread out from the tree of the great peace, one to the north, one to the east, one to the south, and one to the west. The name of these roots is the great white roots, and their nature in peace and strength. The soil of the earth from one end of the land to the other, and the property of the people who inhabit it. By birthright, Onwihawa, originally being, are the owners of the soil, which they own and occupy, and none may hold it. The same law that was held from the oldest time, the great Creator has made us one blood and of the same soil, and He made us as only different tongues constitute different nations. He established different hunting grounds and territories and made boundary lines between them. Whenever a foreign nation is conquered or has by their own will accept the great peace, their own system of eternal government may constitute, but they may cease all warfare against other nations. The women of every clan of the 5 nations shall have a council fire, ever burning in readiness for a council of the clan. When in their opinion it seemed necessary for the interest of the people, they shall hold council, and their decision and recommendation shall introduce before the council of lords by the water chief for its consideration. So this is an excerpt of what the Iroquois Nation had written in their own tongue, and which I find quite amazing. You know, I might have to do some more research and dig on the Iroquois Constitution. And personally, I think that's something that we should go back to, you know? Go back to the indigenous ways and how things were done. And that's why I think, language is very important, how we speak the language of the original people here, as opposed to the foreign conquerors' language. There's power in words, in bringing words into existence, into the reality. That's why, it's so deep. And I think we are barely scratching the surface on all of this. We are. But it says here, although the tribes began to work together, they surely did not renounce war. They fought and captured other native tribes as well as waves of European immigrants who presented themselves. They fought the early French and the British settlers. During the French and Indian Wars, they remained official, neutral, but would join either side to explore an advantage. Both sides courted Iroquois support during the Revolution. As a result, these were split a confederacy for the first time in over 200 years. Iroquois fought Iroquois once more. So they said they split the confederacy for the first time in over 200 years. And what I noticed is they don't explain why. A lot of this occurred with the chaos is when the Greys came over here. They came over and put the tribes against each other. They are the experts of manipulation. Okay? And they still are the experts of manipulation. Bringing chaos where chaos wasn't there. And they still do it to this very day. Such as the crack epidemic, bringing crack into the Aboriginals' neighborhood and bringing chaos, putting guns in there, starting things, whispering things in people's ears that's not true, changing the stories around in order to bring more chaos, and also flooding the media with their own image, making them deeming themselves as being pure and innocent, when in actuality they are not. They're the ones that cause all of this, bringing the drama, creating it. What better way to split up people is to create drama? That's why it's important not to believe their words, because they twist and turn things to fit their own narrative. And that's how it works. And that's how it's been in existence for so long. And also with everything being in their language. And we all know that the words and spelling is nothing but spellbinding. The power of manipulation. That's why I say the power of the pen. But I can go on and on about that. I can. But they go on to talk about the Iroquois society, which I find very fascinating. They call it the Longhouse. Nowadays they call it the White House. White means the Greys, representation of themselves. Everything, like I said, is a ritual to enhance these powers. And people don't realize this stuff is real. It's not fake. If it was fake, why wouldn't they do it? Obviously, they wouldn't want to have access to all the indigenous sacred artifacts if it wasn't real. There must be some truth in it somewhere. And the ancients knew a lot. They knew. And for them to build these pyramids and know mathematical equations that to this very day scientists are still baffled, it makes you wonder. It really does. But anyway, the Longhouse is the center of the Iroquois lives. Archaeologists have unearthed the Longhouse remains that stand more than the length of a football field. Wow, it's really huge. I didn't know it was that big. This is amazing, you guys. It says agriculture was the main source of food. The Iroquois society women held a special role, believed to be linked to the earth's power to create life. Women determined how the food would be distributed, a considerable power in farming. And then here's the picture. They go more in detail. It says here, the Iroquois tribes, also known as the Haudenosaunee, are known for many things, but they are best known for their longhouses. Each longhouse was home to each member of the Haudenosaunee family. Then it goes on and says that women were also responsible for selecting the sachems of the Confederacy. Iroquois society was matrilineal. When a marriage transpired, the family moved into the longhouse of the mother, and family lineage was traced from her. And you see that a lot in Africa as well, the matrilineal. In some tribes, some women do have leadership roles, in Africa, in certain tribes. Not in all, in certain tribes there are, you do see that. And so, I'm not sure if you see that much in the Asian tribes, the Mongoloid. So, but it's definitely been documented with African tribes, and Africans are related to the American Aboriginals, the Aboriginals here in the Americas, And so I explained in another video how that happened, a theory of mine, and from the research that I've seen and I read about supports the evidence that the people came from East Africa and came up through South America and came into the Brazil, and that's why you see the bones there. The Aborigines had the capability of selling boats. They got ancient boats that shows that they could sail the sea. So we were already over here. And if we were already over here, it wouldn't take much to travel. If we traveled the sea like that in ancient times, then we would definitely travel throughout the continent. And you wouldn't just see us in South America in that one spot. We'll be all over and spread. And so we were already over here. And it makes sense with the matrilineal that it's definitely found in some African tribes. And a lot of ancient tribes here that are melanated. You do see that, the Aboriginals, that's not uncommon. And it says here, the Iroquois society proved to be the most persistent military threat the European settlers would face. Although conquest and treaty forced them to cede much of the land in the legacy lingers. Some historians even attribute some aspect of the structure of our own constitution to Iroquois ideas. In fact, one of America's greatest admirers of Iroquois was none other than Benjamin Franklin. It's just so amazing how they inflate things. Because some of the writings that I've read from Benjamin Franklin shows that he was concerned about there being more Indians than Grays. And he didn't seem too thrilled about having more Aboriginals here than Grays. He was more concerned about bringing more of his people over here to take over. So I think this statement is pretty much false. He liked the idea to take and steal for himself and his people, but not for the benefit of the indigenous people here at all. So, yeah. And see, this is how they do it. They twist things to fit their narrative. Like I said, everything is twisted. And that's why it's important to read between the lines and to see through, to decipher the difference of what's truth and what is propaganda, pretty much. I wanted to go on to the other page. I ended up reading the whole thing, you guys. I told you I was going to make it short, but I ended up reading the whole article. But it's okay. I'm just not going to go into details with this article like I was with the other one. This one pretty much explains how, how the Iroquois shaped the U.S. democracy. How the Constitution is sort of is really based on the Iroquois form of government, which is oftentimes not mentioned in history books, which I think is very important. You know, very, very important. I love this pattern right here. It's really pretty. But this article was written by Terry Hansen, and it was published on December 17, 2018. And this is from PBS on the public broadcasting system. So I am not going to go through this article at all. No, it's sort of lengthy right here. But I'm going to put a link for you all. I might go back and do a second video on this, since I've been having issues with recording on this particular program. I don't want it to shut off like it did the last time, because I sort of had a very long video. But I might do a part 2 to this, and we can go over this second part with this particular article. The only thing I wanted to do is scroll down further. They had this wonderful chart here, and it goes here and explains and give a comparison between the Iroquois Confederacy right here and their laws of peace, and in comparison to the U.S. Constitution. And see, it shows you how they just pull from the indigenous Aboriginals, their ways of government, and made it and put it into their own. And of course, they twisted and changed and put themselves in there, so everything is beneficial for the Caucasian. And then they made sure they put in their language, so that way, because they're spellbinding language called English, so more of the power and influence can be for them and their own people. And like I said, language and words are very powerful and very important. And we need to really realizing that this stuff is real, and people don't. I think we still are oblivious to that. But you're dealing with a group of people who are into the magic, witchcraft stuff, and spellbinding, using words like here to empower themselves. And that's why they want to have the power of the pen. That's why they're so interested in the media. That's why they want to be labeled as white and pure and godlike, because they know that there's more power in being called that, which they're not. That's why I call them grays and give them the darkest, dreariest color like they gave us, and attach negative words to it. We attach negative words back to them to reflect back what they're doing. And this stuff is real. It's rituals. That's why they want the rituals of certain events being constantly done. You know, the indigenous tribes had their own rituals of doing stuff, because they understood that there's power in culture and having rituals to celebrate your ancestors, and the identity and knowing of who you are. But the Europeans knew this and saw that that's what the indigenous people were doing, and they're quite envious and selfish, so they wanted to do. The difference I did notice about the Iroquois law compared to the United States Constitution is that the Iroquois believe that the land goes back to the people. It stays with the people. Everybody shares the land. You know, and they didn't have that concept of individual ownership and hoarding resources among a certain group of people forever, and accumulating generational wealth. And see, the United States grace, that's what they have, and that's what they added onto these laws, where resources can always go to grace, and they hoard it. And they also have it set up where they can change things to fit their narrative, because they might have something in the law that says that you could follow all the steps. You know, American Aborigines, like Black Wall Street, because I did a video on that. You may want to check it out, and my theories about the Black Wall Street in Oklahoma. They followed the laws, they followed the rules, they did everything they were supposed to. They got their land, they owned their land, they owned their businesses, the Aboriginals did, and they came in and bombed it. That's the example of how they changed the narrative. It's like no matter how much we build, no matter how much we build something,